Welcome back, curious acolytes of the Force, to our archives. Some of our most recent interests have been lying in the holocrons pertaining to the third Jedi path, that of the Jedi Sentinel. Their unique mark on the Jedi Order leaves much for speculation, as they are the one class that is woefully underexplored in both legends as well as canon continuities. The information that we do have on the Sentinel is found only by scraped and scratching around old Jedi manuscript, including that of Master Morat Chigalia's chapters in the Jedi Path, who highlights the Sentinels rather well. Beyond that though, we are relegated to outside information and general observation. The Sentinels are just as discreet in knowledge as they are in everything else that they do. However, there is one very noticeable thing that cannot escape our attention. They are the only Jedi class who doesn't have a seat on the Jedi Council. After doing some extensive research, we have found that while there have been Jedi Council members who have wielded golden colored lightsabers, there are not and have never been a single Jedi Sentinel to ever sit upon the Jedi High Council itself. The Jedi Council is exclusively made up of Guardians and Consulars, the other two classes, those that have either shown great wisdom within the Force or have done exceptional services during their time as a Jedi Knight and Master. One would think that with all of the Jedi Sentinels and all that they have accomplished throughout the years behind the scenes, it would warrant at least one to be considered for a seat on the High Council. And yet, there has never been a Jedi Sentinel to ever sit on the High Council. So, why is this? There has not been released an official answer to this question, as this is a piece of lore that we ourselves have uncovered. So we will take the knowledge that we have been provided, as well as some of our own theories and speculations as to why we think there aren't any Sentinels on the High Council ever. First though, there is a huge sale going on the Star Wars merch page. So, if you're interested in getting something for the holiday season, you can get things up to 40% off. And if you use code WAVE at checkout, you can get an additional 15% off your entire order. But with that out of the way, my friends and acolytes, let us open up another holocron and let us begin. When we began this search, we wanted to take a look at the Jedi Council members who wielded yellow lightsabers at one point or another to see if there would be a good starting point. As I'm sure many of you know, the colors of blue and green are typically delegated to being the indicative colors of Guardians or Consulars respectively, with blue being Guardian of course and green being a Consular. However, this is hardly ever the real case, as plenty of Jedi Guardians, such as Kit Fisto, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Luminara Unduli to name a few, are all Guardians, yet wielded green blades. And of course Consulars, who have hardly ever been seen combat, such as Jocasta Nu, wielded a blue lightsaber. The point is, everyone is very familiar with the fact that although colors sometimes are indicative of a Jedi's class, it isn't really the common case, as the crystal colors are more so representative of the Jedi's unique connection to the Force rather than the class that they are inducted into, although almost every Sentinel wields a yellow lightsaber. This is because most Sentinels don't actually go out and find their own crystals like many of the other Jedi do, but rather inherit their lightsabers and uniforms from their own masters. This is not to say that other Jedi can't wield yellow lightsabers, as we are about to prove, and it also doesn't mean that there aren't Sentinels that wield other colors, it's just the common practice. Anyway, we have found a couple of Jedi Council members that at one point in time used yellow lightsabers, which brings us to the Jedi Master Yarael Proof, a council member during the Naboo Crisis, and Nomi Sunrider, of course, the Grand Master during the Old Republic era. Both of these prominent Jedi Masters and council members wielded golden lightsabers at some point, but neither of them were ever Jedi Sentinels. But we believe we have found out why. Our theory for why this is stems from the doctrine preached in the Sentinel movement. They make no effort to hide their preference for making use of practical skills and not relying entirely on the Force. This, I think, is not half as important as the fact that for their practical reasons, Sentinels employ careful uses of the dark side, something that we know the Jedi High Council is usually adamantly against. The Jedi Sentinels take a view of just about everything in terms of practicality rather than starkly tradition. As you might guess, this sort of thing is dangerous to a group of people that want to run the Jedi Order in their own way, keeping with their dogmatic code to exclusively use the light side and shun all other forms of the Force, especially the dark. A single, willful Jedi Sentinel in the High Council could potentially sway the entire way the Order operates if given the chance. And if they ascend to the rank of Grand Master by some means, then they absolutely would change the entire practice of the Order. The Jedi High Council has repeatedly proven that while they claim to like differing perspectives, they try to hold their ranks to those who adhere to the rules. Case in point with the episode in Tales of the Jedi, where Dooku was passed over for a seat on the council in preference of Master Mace Windu, although Dooku had prior denounced a seat on the council. The simple fact is, Sentinels are trained to think differently, and in this case, Mace Windu thought exactly in line with the Council. However, Sentinels thinking differently is how they succeed. Because of this, the High Council must keep them firmly under their thumb so that they don't start their own splinter group of Force wielders. The truth of the matter is that Sentinels are somewhat segregated from the rest of the Jedi Order. They have their own way of doing things because of the undercover and impossible nature of what they do and their purpose. The Sentinel class is very close to almost being in its own order without the Jedi Council. A Sentinel on the High Council could prove dangerous to the established structure of the Jedi Temple and the Order as we know it. They might lobby for the reset of the Jedi to be allowed, and allow them to study other parts of the dark side in order for practical uses, as the Sentinels are allowed. Or they could ally with renegade Jedi such as Qui-Gon, Anakin, and Dooku, whenever they decided to make what other council members would deem to be a rash and un-Jedi-like decision. In a nutshell, Sentinels thrive off of the unconventional. That's what makes them both effective and dangerous, not only to Sith and Darksiders, but also the Council. I might even go as far to say if this theory holds water, the High Council may have even had a certain fear of the Sentinels, especially the Jedi Shadows, who they've appointed the Council of First Knowledge full control over. With this though, we do have a secondary explanation. Our second theory comes in the form of that most High Council members are there to decide the best course of action for both the Jedi Order as a whole as well as the Republic. Sentinels just generally aren't that concerned with the state of their own order. The Jedi Sentinels are a class that is very few in number, and rarely hang out at the temple anyway. Many Sentinels are just out doing their jobs in the galaxy, and many of them are integrated into galactic society than almost any other Jedi. The only Jedi Sentinels to call the temple their real home would be the Temple Guards, who are under the direction of Jedi Battlemaster Sin Drallig. It isn't that the Sentinels don't care about the Jedi, but that their concerns are far elsewhere, and it could be that they just don't really have a need to feel represented on the Council, since they are directed by many others instead. Anyway, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this video and breakdown, and we want to hear from you what your theory is as to why no Jedi Sentinels ever have a seat on the Council. If you agree with our theories, leave a like, and if you don't, be sure to comment down below what you think about the situation. And as a most important question, do you think that a seat on the Jedi Council for a Sentinel would be most beneficial for the Order? Or do you agree with the way that the Council has conducted itself, and believe that a seat on the Council would be dangerous for a Sentinel? As always, my friends, don't forget the sale on the Star Wars merch page. May the Force be with you, and I hope that you're having an amazing day.